In addition to that, we do have keys that are universal, and you can buy them for 100 gold at certain shops. We also have what's called take any stores. Some unused doors and single exit caves and buildings could have a chance for either a heart container or a blue potion refill that are in there. And one of them will even have a sword upgrade in it. So you might see some runners kind of dipping in, and as you see Hitsuyan checking right here, that would be a take any, but it is not. Hitsuyan is going to be doing hula hand strats with keys being 100 rupees and then arrows costing money every time you fire a shot. Money management is absolutely vital in retro mode.
Absolutely. I mean, from what I understand, this is the only randomizer I've played, but from what I've been told, part of doing this is to try to add some money management into this randomizer where it's really not there in the other ones. To your point about the take any rooms and to your point about the sword room, I'm pretty certain that these runners are going to especially be keeping an eye out for them, because with this being hard mode, we max out at 14 hearts, we max out at tempered sword, blue mail, red shield, speaking of which there's a flute. So there's, for certain, there's 4 hearts and a sword upgrade in those take any rooms. I highly suspect these runners are going to be on the lookout for them, because otherwise it's going to make hard mode even harder.
Well, and here's the interesting thing about it. In hard mode, yeah, we only have a maximum of 14 hearts that you can get. However, we're going to throw another wrinkle at you, because the hearts that are in the take any rooms don't count. You can actually get up to 18 if you find all of the take any hearts and choose to get all of those. So that's invaluable. Other parts of hard mode that you have to take into consideration is that your goo, your potions, red potions and blue potions, will only fill a maximum of 7 hearts. You're not going to get a full refill every time you get a potion. So you have to manage that a little bit, and it will only refill half of your magic for a blue potion and a green potion. So everything is going to be a little bit harder. Everything hits a little bit harder. Blue mail is maximum, tempered sword, as you were saying, fire shield. So it is absolutely a harder game. You throw in the elements of retro mode, and it just makes it all sorts of crazy. This is one of my favorite combinations.
I can certainly tell, man. Alright, so we're going different routes on our way to Kakariko. Hitsuyan is taking the normal south route, where he's trying to farm for some bombs in those bushes. Meanwhile, shadyforce kills the bush crab a little early, because they're giving out 20 bucks today, but it's going to check Lumberjack Ledge, which recently we have had some races come down to not checking this ledge, and a small key today is on the ledge.
Yeah, those small keys are universal, so I doubt we're going to be going to grab that unless, well, I don't know, because we have to defeat Aghanim. So if they're in the area, they might actually go back and get that key, because guess what? That's 100 rupees. That saves you quite a bit.
That was actually the one thing I was about to say, is with the bush crabs giving 20 bucks today, you'd probably be faster trying to farm them, but then you reminded me, this is all dungeons. We got to do Aga 1. If you're in the area and you got the boots, I might as well do it.
The other thing to point out in hard mode, yes, silver arrows will cost you 50 rupees a shot, but take this into consideration. Silver arrows only work on Ganon, don't work anywhere else. And that's a new wrinkle because of hard mode. It's going to be wooden arrows the rest of the way. So those will be, I think it's 20 rupees a shot, not 10 rupees a shot, which is it's still a lot of rupees, and you have to take that into consideration.
Now, one thing we should point out, Lacactoire has, I couldn't see it, but Lacactoire and words chat, confirmed we have a sword on the library ledge, and we found the first take any room in the fortune teller hut north of Kakariko. And there's the sword one in the bombable hut.
See, here's interesting. Hitsuyan, I don't think, was wanting that to be the sword. You saw him. He was honestly probably hoping for access to be able to farm up some bombs for free when he was down there. But hey, free sword, I'll take it. That's there's only one of those in the entire game. Shadyforce finds a hook shot also.
So we got hook shot and Blind's Hut. Time to pay off the bottle vendor for an empty bottle. How vanilla is this game?
I got my bottle of vanilla extract right here just because it's a vanilla seed, apparently. Oh, Sick Kid has the goodies.
Sick Kid giving away the family savings.
He was very impressed with that bottle that we just bought, I tell you what.
Alright, Bloomerang in the well. And there was another empty bottle in said well, as well as a heart container in the Ether Medallion.
Boy, this doesn't feel too much like a hard mode seed yet. We're blessed with quite a few. I mean, we'll have 5 hearts, we'll have a sword, we'll have a couple bottles already. I mean, this isn't a hard mode seed, is it?
Thank you for the pausing for the playing of the National Swag Duck Anthem. To your answer, it's pretty easy right now, but that hard difficulty is going to surely be felt at some point. We also had a question from just Job Sir. I have no idea how to pronounce that. Are there 4 swords placed out and the one in the hut? No, one of the 4 swords has been removed from the item pool, and it will be guaranteed to be in that take any room that Hitsuyan found.
And even then, we can still only get up to Tempered Sword. Once they get Tempered Sword, that last sword that's in the pool will be replaced with, I think, just rupees at this point in time. And so both these runners are just kind of running each other's footsteps at this point in time. But, you know, it is what it is. Pretty soon they will be back on the interesting routes. But this is really interesting. Remember, in this particular tournament format, this is the second game. Hitsuyan was the higher seeded runner. So this is Shadyforce's choice. It'll be interesting to see if he's just a little bit more experienced in retro mode. Oh, and Hitsuyan says, nah, I don't need the heart. Give me that bottle. Give me that good blue goo.
Shadyforce, meanwhile, not going to the bombable hut, so going to be missing the sword upgrade. Sees the other one here on the library ledge. To your point, I asked in the SRL chat before the race got started, Hitsuyan's choices were inverted, Ganon, normal, randomized. So this is certainly going to be a different setup than what they ran the first time.
Yeah, inverted mode seems to be the new hotness that everyone is going. Retro mode is a little bit more niche, and it requires a different skill set, I'm going to say, just because of everything else. So Shady does his save and quit. Hitsuyan, meanwhile, going to come over here, maybe grab this bush crab. Yup. Falfin asked, was that actually a +1 bottle, not to refill? No, it's just a blue potion refill. It's not a +1 bottle. All right, so Shady is going to be showing us our first look into the kind of south route that is so well known here. Oh, Lamp. So nice to see you, Lamp.
I see what you did there.
Ha ha, ha 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 ha. Puns for days.
And we have some soggy bombs at the bottom of the dam.
Yep, meanwhile, Shady is going to be going over here. Man, they're abusing these bush crabs, aren't they?
I mean, again, to the whole point of retro mode and money management, you're certainly going to want as much cash as you can.
Making it rain crabs is what it really is today. All right, so shadyforce showing us 5, 20, 20. Man, it's a small key and a piece of okay. So not an exciting cave in any respect. Question in chat: why does Shady have one more heart? The interesting thing, they both found the same take any room. Hitsuyan opted for the blue goo refill as opposed to getting an extra heart container. That surprised me a little bit, but if you are confident in your execution, you run NMG quite a bit, you probably think, hey, I'm going to get plenty of heart containers as this thing goes on. So that just might be the confidence of Hitsuyan. Shady Fighter did miss the Take Any room that had the sword in it. It is in the Bombable Hut, which normally you farm up bombs in Kakariko Village. That was the Take Any room with the sword upgrade, only one in the game. So we do know that another sword is available on the library ledge. We just don't know where the boots are. So I think it'll be a higher priority for shadyforce to head back there once he gets there.
Meanwhile, we did get a map check on Hitsuyan's side. We got 2 pendants in the light world. Hera's green pendant, Desert is your vanilla blue pendant, and then we have a 5/6 crystal at Eastern Palace.
Hitsuyan picking up another key and going ahead and purchasing his wooden arrows. Now, I'm told there was a glitch at some point where you didn't have to pick them up, but glad to see people, using just following the spirit of the game there, picking up your arrows.
Yeah, I actually saw that in one of the retro races I commentated earlier in the tournament. Yeah, it's the bug essentially is that if you get the bow, you are still able to fire arrows without having the wooden arrows. It will still decrease the money. It just by the rules of retro mode, you're not supposed to be able to fire them without the wooden arrows.
Oh, shadyforce finds another Take Any cave, and this time opts for a blue goo refill for himself as well. I see. Okay, so that's 3 out of the 5 Take Any rooms we've already found. That's really kind of a high percentage so far.
And now we're starting to see some of that divergence you were talking about. Hitsuyan using the flute and hook shot to go up to Death Mountain. Shadyforce, meanwhile, is going to go check on Sahasrah's closet, maybe take a dip into Eastern as well.
Well, I mean, between Sahasrah's closet and Eastern, there's 6 items that you might have access to. Hitsuyan taking a death. Oh, was he able to turn in the old man so he can start over there? Yes, he was.
Yeah, he did. Ooh! Shadyforce having a little bit of trouble of trying to pick up the pot and instead pick up the bomb instead.
So I think it's actually a little bit denser for Hitsuyan because he was able to check not only Old Man, check to see what's on, get this hint that's up here, check an item that's here, but he also has access to the entirety of East Death Mountain. He can't quite get to Tower of Hera yet, but he's in a really nice spot being able to go up to Death Mountain. So just interesting route divergence here. We'll see which one pays off.
All right, we got Swagnet inside Spectacle Rock, and the hint. The bow. The bow is in the coffee break room in Tower of Hera.
That's an insanely valuable hint. That means at this point in time, the bow is either mirror locked or hammer locked because we can get right up to it at this point in time. Wow, that's the best hint I think I've ever seen.
I'm gonna call back to the race I called on Sunday night. There was a required boots were on pedestal for desert locked Desert Lock. Boots Lock Desert in the room where the torch is in Desert. That's probably the greatest hint I've ever seen.
Okay, that's super convenient typing, but that one was close.
Alright, so nothing so far in the bottom of Paradox Cave.
Meanwhile, Shady Force still really hasn't found a whole lot here in Eastern or in Sahasrara's closet at this point in time. Full magic refill. That's super important right at the moment.
We got another bottle of blue potion. Fisher Price, my first shield.
A unique item requires the Cane of Samaria. Oh, that's, I mean, considering what, all of Turtle Rock.
Vitreous.
Thanks, game.
Mm-hmm.
So super interesting. If Hitsuyan doesn't find anything in Spiral Cave, this has been a bust up on Death Mountain. Other than Bugnet, which, you know, absolutely required, but not really.
Alright, there's the big keys. We still have one more check in Eastern. There's Moon Pearl.
Moon Pearl. Okay, so I mean that's progression. It doesn't do anything for us immediately, but
all right. So something is in escape. That's pretty much all we got left.
well, we have escape, and we also have Agina's cave, so we cannot rule that out. Although Hitsuyan looks like he's going right to where Shady Force was just at. It is the next dense location in Shady. Just swapping spots. So, yay.
Ooh. Well, let's take this opportunity because we've had some people, some more new people come in asking about what retro mode is. So since we're about to see both of these runners double back on each other, let's go over retro mode again. So this is, the developers basically use this to try to take elements of Zelda 1 and put them in A Link to the Past. So, as you see with the keys are global now. You can buy keys. Keys are in the item pool with everything else, but you can use any key in any dungeon. Big keys still only work in their respective dungeons as well. The bow, you don't have arrow items, you just pay money to fire arrows when you get the bow. $10 for a wooden arrow, $50 for a silver arrow. There are take any rooms like there are in Zelda 1. 4 of them contain a choice between a potion and a heart container. One of them has a sword. That sword one we found in the bombable hut in Kakariko Village that Hitsuyan has picked up, and Shady Force has not.
Good summary. I like it. Pretty soon we're going to get like an elevator speech of this down, like 30 seconds. Boom. We got it.
Yeah, still working on that. Should also point out this is all dungeons, which means all dungeons, including Aga 1 and all dependent dungeons. This is hard mode, so we max out at 14 hearts, tempered sword, blue mail, red shield, silver arrows can only be used on Ganon, and blue potions only refill 7 hearts and half of your magic meter. Speaking of which, there's also no half magic.
Yeah, so it is absolutely designed to be more difficult, and that's part of the hard mode. I mean, it can be scary if you've never done it, but both these runners are absolutely experienced in this game, so they should have no problems whatsoever. In the meantime, yeah, they're just walking over each other's sets of footprints. While we have a quick second, a big shout out to our tracker doing all the work behind the scenes. making us look good. Oski, thank you so much, man. All right, so the question is, okay, escape is probably where we're going to end up having to go, just because we still need at least 2 items for any sort of progression access. So even if you think Agina might have something, you still have to go to escape anyway. So it seems like that's going to end up being the logical play for these 2, but I've been wrong before, so.
Well, what's also interesting here is that as we were talking about earlier, with escape and Agina basically being the only 2 options we can go to, in terms of Dark World access, we're still 2 items away, either Titan's Mitts or Hammer and Power Glove. But with AGA 1 access, we're 1 item away, which would either be the cape or finding the 3rd sword upgrade. But we know this because we know the second one is on the library ledge, so if we find the boots, that would then get us to Master Sword, which would then get us to AGA 1.
All right, so Hitsuyan is the first one to clear the second part, and we will see. I gotta think he's heading to escape. He's in the right spot for it.
Yep, that turn northward is exactly where he's heading.
Yeah, and chat makes an interesting point. Will Shadyforce ever find that one-off sword? Because if you don't find it your first pass through Kakariko, you may not ever go to it. Looks like Shady's actually checking the desert first. All right, so Shadyforce is going to be the first one to give us some knowledge here. Or no, Hitsuyan's going to be right here, so it'll be something.
Just $20.
Yeah, and Hitsuyan just found 5 rupees, so feels like Hitsuyan's on the right path at this point in time, but can't say that for sure. I just don't know where else anything would be, though, at this point.
Looks like Shadyforce is going to join him in escape.
So I just had a great logical question that I really kind of want. If anyone has programming knowledge of the back end of the game, I really would like to get some input, because we're in a situation where right now it's possible that one of the swords in the Take Any rooms is logically required to get us to AGA. I just didn't know if that was logically intended or not. I know, for example, hearts, you can't really necessarily do that with. I just didn't know swords was part of that.
Well, there's the 3rd sword.
Yeah, so logically, it's Aghanim at this point in time. So I guess based on this seed, logically, you do have to find the other Take Any sword, because there's nothing else, is there?
Well, we could find the cape in the back of escape, maybe. But I mean, to your point, I am a developer. I'm not one of the developers that worked on the randomizer, so take this for what it's worth. My feeling is that if they intended that one of the sword upgrades is permanently in that Take Any room, then it has to be in the logic for exactly what we're seeing right now. Is the potential that Take Any room was one of the swords you needed to be able to climb AGA 1.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, he's going to be doing the back here. We do have the back of escape. Okay, 20. And then there will be the other rooms. Now, he's bought the keys necessary, or he has the keys necessary, but he's burning through all of his keys. Keep in mind, we may not get small keys to climb Aga's tower. He may have to go buy some more keys before he makes the climb.
Which that also leads to a point. Because of those keys, that means there are 2 item locations in Aga Tower that could have logic. Like, I've seen Dark World access the Titansmiths held in Aga Tower.
Oh yeah, I've seen that as well. So I mean, it's possible. Oh boy, mushroom fetch quest. Okay. So if you hit Sion, do you bite the bullet? Just go ahead and go, or do you turn it in?
My feeling is, I mean, if you want to bite, like, I imagine Hitsuyan will probably go check mushroom right now, because then you can do a hard reset for the mushroom if you want to save it for a fake powder. But he's checking Zora like highly alleged, which is just a piece of heart, and then probably going to buy keys. So I wouldn't imagine that he would do a hard reset here.
No, he might do a save and quit, and then just save the mushroom for later in case he wants to mushroom do fake powder, which is always a possibility. Or he's gonna flute away before that. Who knows?
Because the thing is, no matter what, like, the seed is clearly pointing towards Aga 1, because the only way that we're still 2 items away from avoiding Aga 1 for Dark World access. So the only way that, realistically, the only way that could be possible is that if Mushroom led to Boots, and then, like, the Flanktuary locations had ways to basically get through it, but the seed probably is clearly pointing towards Aga 1 at this point.
Yeah, it feels pretty clear. And Shady's like, wait, what? What? What?
We'll see if he thinks about going to check that take any room that we know is at the Bombable Hut in Kakariko. One thing we should also point out, since we were talking about the logic in terms of the sword with the take any room, we should also point out that because money, the randomizer assumes that money is farmable, so anything that requires money, it assumes you can get the money through farming. Well, since you can buy keys with money, that assumes keys are farmable.
Absolutely. So you do have to take that into consideration. And Shady's like, what? What? Just 5? The cheapest of drugs? Kugeki, just to explain, the Take Any room, we just saw one from Hitsuyan there. There are 4 Take Any rooms that say, choose a heart container or a blue potion refill. And there's 4 of those randomly in any single entrance cave or building that isn't the potion shop or anything that has something important in it. So for this case, we saw Hitsuyan just there pick up a heart container. Now, one of them, instead of it being a Take Any room, we lump them in with Take Any, so it's the 5th one. It's really, it's dangerous to go alone. Take this. They give you a free sword. This is the first time I can remember in a retro mode seed, and I honestly didn't know, where a retro mode seed is logically requiring you to find that it's dangerous to go alone. Take this sword, because that's our logical access to get to Aghanim, and there's nothing else we can do logically right now.
So as Hitsuyan is following the breadcrumbs and making his way up Aga Tower, Shadyforce is going to do a sequence break and fake Flipper, hoping to maybe find something here in the Zora area. And nothing in the Waterfall of Wishing.
Yeah, it's not that. And remember, Shady did pick this mode, so this is Shady's choice here. But man, this would be super rough if we don't. Okay, there's just a big 20. He's getting ready, and I hope he did do a save and quit before he came up here, because this is a major investment. 500 rupees is a lot in a retro mode seed. I mean, think about it. That's 10 silver arrows on its own.
I'm sorry, which is why I always say that there once was a fish named Zora who gives you flippers and vanilla. In Rando, he sucks for 500 bucks, and we did the stupid trick for a heart piece.
Oh, Shady Force is going. Well, okay, he did the hard reset to save the money. And
Sorry,
yeah, for
sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off the second time in a row. My bad.
it happens. It's okay, man. These things happen. It's okay. So yeah, we're at a point right now where Shady Force has to find. It's dangerous to go alone. Take this. It's in the bombable hut in Kakariko Village. Some bombs are in Hookshot Cave. Thanks, game.
Woohoo! Alright, well, Shady Force is getting warm. He knows that there's take any rooms here in Kakariko. You're in the opposite corner. Come on, you can do it. You can do it.
Yeah, this is news to me, and I don't know if this is intended in the logic, but it certainly apparently it is, because there's no other way to say this is a thing other than, yep, you were intended to find this sword upgrade.
No. Shady Force, you're getting colder.
Back.
Alright, meanwhile, Hitsuyan has climbed up Aga Tower, so it's time for our usual game of how many blue balls do you think Aghanim's gonna throw at our runners today?
The average is 3. So I'm gonna go. I'm feeling a little bit impish today. So I'm gonna go with 6 blue balls.
I'll say 3. I'll take your average. Alright, so we have the required one. We have 3 randos. Regular one was to start. There's 1 blue ball.
And Shady
Force.
That was a rough. He was almost up there.
2 blue balls.
I'm disappointed in Hitsuyan not using the bug catching net.
Shady Dreamer in chat, bringing up a good point. Shady Force has the right idea. He's searching for the Take Any room. We just know that it's still in Kakariko. We're at 4 blue balls so far.
Yep, 4, but I think it only takes, like, I don't know. I feel like I've lost already. 5. Okay, 5 blue balls. So yeah, Shady Forces, man, he's doing the work. And just a heart piece on the ledge. We do have our Dark World access. So where do we go from here for Hitsuyan? Okay, so Misery Mire is our blue pendant. Not that it matters, it's all dungeon, so we gotta do everything anyway, guys. Man, he's searching that bombable hut. Yeah, this is. If you pick retro mode, you gotta know the Take Any rooms. To be fair, I don't know if I logically would have known that you have to have knowledge of that sword, if I'm perfectly honest.
Alright, Hitsuyan is paying off the extortionist. And gonna make his way into Pod.
Pod is exceptionally dense. It does require a lot of keys, so it's an expensive dungeon to get into. But once you have the keys, I mean, there's a lot of treasure chests in here, and we just Found 3 keys. I mean, 300 rupees. Same thing.
Thing is, one of the things you learn from Key Sanity is how to manage your keys through pod. If you know how to hammer yump and you have the bow, you only need 4. Problem is, we know the bow is fire rod locked in Hera, or not fire rod, fire source locked in Hera. So we're most likely we're gonna need to expend all the keys that we can to get through this dungeon.
Yeah, we can buy some more at this point in time. I'm not. He's got another 300 rupees that he found in here. So, the interesting thing will be, okay, a shield and the Misery Mire big key are fire locked in Misery Mire. Okay, that's good news to know. So we know where the big key in Misery Mire is.
Yes.
Oh, he's gonna bottle glitch. This is super interesting because, man, that goo is just super important. So he set up the bottle glitch at this point in time just to be able to get those other treasure chests. Again, this is out of logic, so we'll see. Oh no, it's Shady. He's doing it. He's doing it.
He gets his sword and is about to probably not be happy. Alright, so big key is in the bow lock portion as well as the flippers.
Oh, so all of our flipper locations are locked behind the bow, which is locked behind our access to Tower of Hera, which is either the hammer or the mirror. Super interesting to logic this out now.
There's the fire rod.
I mean, yeah, I suppose we'll need that a little bit. I think Hitsuyan knows the hammer yump. I think he does. Oh yeah, and in these rooms, you grab every rupee you possibly can.
And hammer time!
Well, that closes that logical loop there, doesn't it?
Yep, it also means that this is a required double dip of pod. You go to pod to get the hammer, you go up to Tower of Hera to get the bow, and come back to finish off Helmassar.
And it was Hitsuyan that where we saw that hint, right? So, or do they both know that hint?
They both know it.
Oh man, that is super, super interesting. What I'm most concerned about is we still don't have a lift upgrade of all things.
So, Hera is now accessible because of getting that hammer. Because we have the hook shot and the fire rod, we actually can get across, and actually with the hammer, so you can hammer the peg, hook shot across to West Dark World. So Thieves Town and Skullwoods are full clearable. So with this, we've got, even without those gloves, we still have access to a few dungeons that we could full clear at this point.
We do, and it'd be really interesting to see what Hitsuyan ends up doing. Does he want to continue his logic chain, or does he want to save and quit to go knock that out, which could be nagging him otherwise? That bow, as nice as it is, it's a money drain. So do you go get it until you absolutely need it?
See, the reason we know this is important is because Hitsuyan bottle glitched to get around bow locked, big key, and flippers. So in hits, I actually kind of agree with you. I would probably hold off Hera for now and just go take that fire rod and the hammer and make my way over to West Dark World and take out Thieves Town and Skullwoods.
Yeah, but since he already saved and quit, I mean, he's debating it right now. You can see it. He's like, oh, what do I want to do? How am I feeling? And looks like he's going to continue on. He's going to wait to go get the bow until he needs it. He knows it. He knows where it's at. He's seen the hint, unless he's forgotten, at which point... Meh.
Alright, so Hitsuyan is going Dark World.
Yeah, if I were him, I might even go over here and check Catfish while he's in the neighborhood. Oh, right, he has to use the hammer to get past. You have the hammer. You can't get past it.
Oh, but well, he's got the hammer. He's also got those sequence broken flippers. Both of those would get him around. And actually, you can't check Catfish because you don't have Power Glove at this point.
Right. That's not something I'm used to not having at this point in time. Let's be honest.
All right, I got one down for Shadyforce.
All right, Hitsuyan making his way up. Shadyforce is going to have to... I mean, the logic right here is that hammer, isn't it?
I mean, he has no choice. Pod is his only option at this point.
He's like, oh yeah. It's always interesting that even with the 16-bit sprites, you can kind of see the hamster wheel turning when someone stops and goes, "Oh yeah, I can't go that way." The real tough part for Shady, though, is that he only has 2 keys, as chat was just pointing out right now. That's not enough to get through Pod, and you don't pick up a whole lot of keys in Pod right now either. So he's got to go find a shop to buy some keys, and he's going to have to save and quit.
Yeah, he'll head to the shop over by Lake Highly, I would imagine.
This is a very popular shop from all appearances.
Alright, so Hitsuyan heading to the back, gonna take on Mothula.
Mothula is going to be a little bit rough. Yes, you have the fire rod, but you know you're at Green Mail, you're at Master Sword. Oh, there's the big key. But even then, you don't really have a whole lot of hearts, and he's going to death warp out and slightly refill his hearts in the process too. This is going to be a kind of a challenging Mothula fight. It'll be interesting to see how Hitsuyan handles it. Yeah, Fire Rod was in Pod. Pod was loaded. I mean, there's no getting around it. Pod had flippers, it had Fire Rod, it had hammer, and that's our access to be able to get the bow later. So, yeah, Pod is the answer. There's no getting around that.
Hitsuyan being conscious of needing the magic to take on Mothula.
Absolutely. Well, it'll be interesting. Yeah, he's willing to take a shot for that key because that's how valuable keys are. Shady Force, meanwhile, on the right track. You know, when Shady picked this, I can almost always tell you, runners who pick second, who are the lower seed, always try to do something with a high degree of variance. But right now, this has been a really linear seed, which really plays to the advantage of the higher seed, in this case, Hitsuyan.
Which is interesting because even with that higher degree of variance, you would imagine that a runner would probably just do defeat Ganon, but instead Shady Force decided to go with all dungeons, which, you know, would, to your point, play to the experience of the runner who just took a death.
We knew it wasn't going to be an easy fight. Man.
Press F to pay respects.
Oh my gosh. Jump and shoot, man. Thank you for letting us know. All right, so Kiki steals his money the second time, the extortionist monkey.
Hitsuyan decides to say no mas and gonna leave Mothula alone for now.
And I seem to recall, yeah, remember when Hitsuyan took the blue goo instead of the heart container? That maybe would have been worth to take the heart container at this point in time, because even this has been a pretty sickly seed, even for a hard mode seed.
Ooh, just a bit outside from Shady Force. Gets it the second time. Ooh, we got Mirror in Skullwoods.
That's a nice pickup for Hitsuyan, because here's the deal. He's going to go into this back part, steal this key, and because he entered at the front side, he's going to gain a key in the process. Unless he dies.
You say that, and then he dies again.
You know, and here's the interesting thing. You know, you and I know, Jax, and chat knows that if this were a straight line race, we would say that Hitsuyan probably has a nice advantage right now. He's probably what people would call in the lead, even though I hate using that word. Hitsuyan probably, after those couple deaths, probably feels behind.
And the thing is, Shady Force is doing the same potion glitch that Hitsuyan is doing. So even though Hitsuyan did have a little bit of an advantage in terms of doing the bottle glitch, now they're going to be even with those having the flippers.
Shady going to be death warping.
What I imagine at this point is, I've kind of been thinking about this because we were talking earlier about with retro mode and having to spend money for arrows. I would imagine that once, kind of depending on the seed, I don't think we come back to Pod or Eastern until unless we need to get to Fat Fairy, because Eastern is one of the 5-6 crystals. I don't think we come back to Pod or Eastern until we're in Go mode and we're just comboing both in order to get through the rest of the to get through the rest of the game.
I tend to agree with you because both these runners will have effectively cleared out both Pod and Eastern, except for the items that are on the bosses. If we're starved for one item and just can't get anywhere else, I can see us maybe checking these two out while we're thinking, just so we can continue with our progress. But I agree with you. I think once Shady is out of Pod, we're not coming back here for a while. So what is retro mode? It's the question of the day. It is the new hotness. The best question that you can possibly ask. Retro mode. Long story short, there are no arrows. Your arrows cost rupees to fire. 10 for wooden, 50 for silver, but silvers only will work on Ganon because it's in hard mode. In addition, all the small keys are universal. You can buy them for 100 rupees a pop at some shops. Yeah, that's about retro mode, yeah. Oh, and the take any rooms.
Yeah, those take any rooms basically follow along with Zelda 1. There's 4 of them where you can choose between a blue potion or a heart container, and one of them has a sword, which shadyforce learned the hard way because we needed one of that sword to be able to get up Aga Tower.
Yeah, and surprised us here. That's not something that I think any of us were really expecting. It's like, oh, that was required logically? Huh, good to know. Did all the keys get replaced with blue rupees? No. I believe all the keys that are normally in there have been placed in the item pool, except for hard mode, I believe 15 keys have been removed from the pool. So think about all the keys that were in the game minus 15. That's kind of how many keys are out there floating naturally in the wild. That does not include keys that are under pots and skulls or dropped by enemies. Those are still out there. So those, if you think about that, those are worth 100 rupees at this point.
All right. Stumpy having a heart container. South Grove Cave having one of the mail upgrades. Again, because this is hard mode, we can only get to blue mail. So wherever the seed put the other mail upgrade, it will now be rupees in its place. Interesting that Hitsuyan decided to nope out of Thieves Town. Didn't finish it, just did, I think, like the first 4 checks. And that was it.
That is a little bit interesting. He also, he's going to go over here and get keys because he needs keys.
He was out of keys, that's why.
No drop of arrows, but can you find arrows in chests? Yes, they're called rupees. Arrows are rupees, man. That you just have to think of it that way. 10 rupees for a wooden arrow. That's it. You got to think of it that way. So when I say you can find arrows in chests, yes, in counts of 300 rupees or 100 rupees or 50 rupees.
You want to know an interesting story, Vitasia?
I always want to know interesting stories, Jex.
So before I ever did commentary, I didn't really listen to my voice all that much, and afterwards, after like one of my first commentaries that I did on here, I said to my fiance, you know, I listened back and I think I have a lisp, and my fiance was like, you didn't know that you had a lisp? I was like, no, I never really knew. Apparently, Pyrelight in chat keeps reminding us that apparently I keep saying that we need to find keys as opposed to needing to find keys.
I mean, I'm sure I say it too, so it's fine. Oh, so I want to give a welcome to everyone who's joining us from Speed Gaming 4, just hanging out with us. Oh, Ice Rod in Hype Cave. This is our first check of Hype Cave, an hour in. So, just to give you a quick summary, so we learned something interesting today. This is a hard mode, retro mode seed, all dungeons open. What we learned is that logically, the sword in the Take on Any room, which was in Kakariko Village, was logically required to get us to Aghanim. We cleared everything. Didn't have Dark World access. Shadyforce unfortunately spent a good 15 to 20 minutes looking around because he did not know where that was. So right now it's kind of a straight line race between these runners, and Hitsuyan, it looks like he's getting ready to go into Swamp Palace here. But the real story was that Take Any room really put Shadyforce behind, because that was logically required to get to Aghanim. We needed that second sword.
Yeah, it was, we usually don't like to call where players have leads or whatnot this early on. Joke hint from the first one in Swamp, but Hitsuyan certainly had an advantage because of the time lost by Shadyforce having to find that sword, but then Hitsuyan took an unfortunate death with Mothula, so that kind of gave some of that time back to Shadyforce. So it's, again, we're 56 minutes in. We have not gotten any dungeons finished. Like, this race is still wide open.
Yeah, it's a little bit disconcerting, if I'm perfectly honest, that we're almost an hour in and no dungeons are completed. I got to think both runners feel really far behind right now. Shadyforce has the option here if he can have a clean Mothula fight, and he's doing well so far. Remember, the key to Mothula is patience.
Apparently we found Canis Samaria.
Yeah, that was the first treasure chest in Swamp Palace. Hitsuyan has plenty of keys. It'll be interesting to see if he ends up flooding a key. And Shadyforce! Man, Mothula is 2 for 2 today for our runners.
So we saw Canis Samaria in the first chest in Swamp Palace. We also saw Ice Rod and Hype Cave. To continue with the recap, we did see in the Spectacle Rock Hint tile that we know that the bow is in the coffee break room in Tower of Hera, which means that it was a required double dip of pod, because the hammer was French vanilla in pod. Sorry. So we know where the bow is. We're an hour in. We still have not found a glove upgrade. We're going to need 2 of them. And we haven't been to Desert yet to know if Desert is boots locked or not. So, medallions, 2 gloves. That's kind of what we're looking for in terms of go mode.
Medallions, 2 gloves. I mean, the fact that we need 2 gloves is just a little bit silly. I mean, let's be realistic. It has really made this almost as an absurdly linear seed, because the dungeons that we have access to are so limited. We're just kind of being led along. So here's what you can do. Deal with it. And it's leading to one breadcrumb is leading to one breadcrumb is leading to one breadcrumb. It's a very linear seed, which is not what you normally see in something like retro mode, all dungeons, but it is what it is. We're dealing with it more than that Shadyforce and Hitsuyan are dealing with it. And I think they're both cursing Shady at this point in time, because he picked this mode in this seed. So thanks, Shady. Pyrolite asks, have we checked Zoraland? We have, only because Shadyforce sequence broke it, because he was looking for some sort of answer. Hitsuyan has not checked over there, but we didn't really get a whole lot. Zora is always an interesting play in retro mode because 500 rupees, you got to think that's like 5 small keys. That's unlocking most of Pod, and that's what you're sacrificing there.
Like, to the point that normally we only see hard resets on saving the mushroom for a fake powder, but Shadyforce actually hard reset at Zora to save that 500 bucks.
Jump and Shoot Man asked, "Did we run a draft?" What ended up happening is there was a series of qualifiers for the fall randomizer tournament, and then everyone was seeded and placed in groups. The way it works for the best of 3 series, Hitsuyan between these two picked the first one because he was a higher seed. Shadyforce picked the routing that was the different flag sets that you see at the top of the screen. He picked the second one because he was a lower seed. The third race is going to be picked by Randomizer because, let's face it, we're Randomizer guys, with each of them having a veto vote. For example, Shadyforce can say, "Oh, I'm done with hard mode, everything, so nothing hard mode," and Hitsuyan can say, "Well, I'm don't want anything normal mode. Let's get some fun in here," and they can choose those 2 vetoes. And the randomizer will generate, okay, here's going to be your flag sets, and here's what you have to deal with for the third race.
Mm-hmm. And so with those groups, after the qual out, those 96 were put into 16 groups of 6. They have to run each runner 3 times for a total of 15 races. From there, the top 2 from each seed, or from each group, will then be put into a bracket. And then it's a best of 5 from there to decide the champion of the fall tournament.
Now, here's something interesting. Here's an opportunity for Shadyforce, I think, to play a little bit of catch-up. Hitsuyan opted not to do the rest of Thieves Town. He did the first 4 and then noped out of the rest of it. Shadyforce has the keys to go ahead and do it. I think Hitsuyan left because he was out of keys at that point in time. So if Shady ends up finding something in the back of Thieves Towns, it might be a little bit more time before Hitsuyan goes there, and that would put him right back in this race if it's something like the boots or our first lift upgrade.
Well, unless something is on the big chest or Argus. Well, how about a power glove? That is something.
Okay, that's something fair.
And that is the first crystal of the game, an hour and 2 minutes in.
We sit back, get comfortable, guys. We might be here for a little bit.
And Hitsuyan leaving the big chest. I wasn't item counting, so I don't know if we know if it was a dungeon item or if there's another item location that Hitsuyan's leaving inside the Swamp Palace big chest.
I'm worried that there's another item he's leaving in there. I want to confer with Osgeek, who is our wonderful tracker. Hopefully he can tell us if he left an item in there or not. Meanwhile, Hitsuyan is going ahead, biting the bullet, going to head up here to do Tower of Hera, which we know has the bow in the basement.
Okay, Osgeek is confirming to us that it was a dungeon item in the Swamp House big chest, so nothing that we lost there. And this is a rare opportunity where you see a runner pick up the big key for Hera and still proceed to go to the coffee break room, because we know that there's a D there.
Shank, thanks. You're the hero here. Oh, Shadyforce had to go the long way around because he didn't have the gloves. Oh, boo.
And all that work for a $5 and a red meringue.
Well, I mean, we still have our options here with blind himself, herself. I don't judge. Whatever you want to self-identify as, blind. All right, so here's the bow, unless we're way off. And nope, there's the bow. Yeah, Hitsuyan just showed us the arrow glitch. It says, yep, I can use arrows. I haven't bought the arrows yet.
One thing we should point out with that glitch, because with this being retro mode, the intended effect is that you have to buy the wooden arrows in a shop in order to be able to actually fire arrows with the bow. That has been alerted to by the runners. Well, they're silver arrows.
That was a great joke. 10th enemy has a bomb. Thanks.
So, in the tournament Discord, all the players have been alerted that this is in fact a bug. So, it is still for the tournament until it's been patched in the next version. This is allowed. It still is going to cost money for Hitsuyan to fire arrows. He just didn't have to pay the $80 to get it.
Which, can't fault him for. Shadyforce did the honorable thing, went ahead and bought him, but you know what? It's not against the rules, so... It's not against the rules, it's fair game.
Hitsuyan had to deal with a Hyper Trolldorm, but Trolldorm is dead. Map for your troubles, and a green pendant. Our tracker also pointed out that we missed that Quake Medallion was on blind.
Okay, so that might be something. If Quake is our access to either Misery Mire or Turtle Rock, because again, it is an all dungeons clear, that might give him some advantage, although Hitsuyan will eventually have to go back there anyway.
Speaking of which, Hitsuyan's heading back to probably finish Pod Eastern at this point.
Makes sense. Well, and at this point, let's see. We still don't have access to Desert Palace at all. He could do Skullwoods and Thieves Town, which we know where that is, but we also don't have access to Ice Palace, Misery Mire, or Turtle Rock. So really, something's got to be here, doesn't it?
Yeah, we're running out of places. Power Glove really only opens up Catfish as I'm kind of going through the Rolodex of places. Because we will still need Titan's Mitts. We're gonna need, we may need Boots if Desert is Boots locked. We're about to see what the hospital is holding from the green pendant.
Oh, this was smart to go ahead and wait to come back here until after you did Hera. That's very heads-up routing there.
And we may need Bombos depending on what our items are.
So yeah, we're looking that some sort of progression has to be on either Armos Knights or Helmasaur, right? I mean, we're out of options unless it's on Catfish, which I guess technically is in logic now, but if they find Boots in GT, I wonder if they go back to the library. I mean, here's the thing. Ganon's Tower may not even necessarily be the last dungeon we do. let's think about it, because I mean, you have to do all of the crystals, but for example, with our pendants, let's see, we know we'll have access to Desert Palace eventually because, well, yeah, because we have to have the Titan's mitts, and by then we'll have access to the flute to be able to get to Desert Palace for that. And then Misery Mire will have access to that. At this point in time, yeah, there's nothing that we could possibly be hoping for that Ganon's Tower wouldn't be our last. I'm just mathing this out in my head. Sorry. Recitador says they could still find the 4-sword, yeah, and then that last sword in the library becomes worthless. How much do regular arrows cost? 10 rupees a shot. Just regular wooden arrows will cost you 10 rupees per shot.
Alright, almost our time for Hitsuyan.
Oh, and chat pointing out, yeah, it could be if we're still looking for Misery Mire access and it's Bombos, then that could be it.
And Helmstar down.
All right, what do you have for us, Mr. H. King? 50. Okay. So, Ink Armos Knights fight here directly for Hitsuyan. Meanwhile, Shadyforce is working his way here through Swamp Palace. We'll be rewarded with our first glove upgrade. You know, part of me wonders when Hitsuyan will be heading over to do the Zora area. Now, Zora is not a popular thing, but he's not even touched it. So I wonder if he gets into a point where before we do something else, because if nothing's here, we know Catfish, but he might go over do Catfish and think to route in the Zora area at the same time. I gotta think that's next.
Possibly. I mean, what really do we have left? We have Catfish.
Oh, we have Graveyard Ledge, which is in play.
Mm-hmm. I don't think Spike Cave wouldn't be in logic because we haven't seen Kane O'Brien or Cape yet.
Nope, and Logic does consider one-hit KO, so we need some sort of invincibility item. All right, so Shadyforce is doing work on Argus. Meanwhile, Hitsuyan is on the Armos Knights. We'll see what we have here.
Paying the 180 rupee tax to take care of these knights and get an item. Or more if you miss arrows. But it was just a map.
Okay, so it's got to be Catfish. Then. It's got to be Catfish or Graveyard Ledge.
Yeah. I mean, there's really not much else. much else where we can go.
Or Big Chest Swamp, although we're told from our tracker that we've confirmed that's just another dungeon item. So Hitsuyan.
Wait a minute, neither runner finished Mothula.
Oh. Mothula, yeah. That'd be a kick in the teeth, wouldn't it?
I mean, that's where that has to be where Hitsuyan is heading. Either that or Graveyard Ledge. Nope, he's heading back to. Well, maybe he will. Oh right, he can't. He doesn't have the Titansmiths. If he wanted to go south, that was the way he had to go. Wait, we never got a hobo check.
Huh? I mean, it's okay. It's within. I mean, it's within logic that we know of. He still technically needs the bow, but so Hitsuyan is making a return trip. Oh my gosh!
Ooh! Literacy from the hobo. That's desert access.
That's desert access. That unlocks both the tablets. King Fetch quest. That's significant. That might be our breadcrumb. Oh no. Oh, Shady's maybe going to pick up some more keys. Okay. What are you doing, Shady? Dino Chrono, our PED temperature index is mild to, I mean, out of 10, like we're at maybe a 1. The only possibility for a PED at this point in time is going to be if Misery Mire requires Bombos Medallion. Everything else, unfortunately, I think is out of play at this point.
It's actually the other way around. It's a Turtle Rock needs Bombos. If Mire needs Bombos, then Pedestal.
Oh yeah. Right. Okay, yeah. Bombos is the only thing that could possibly be on it. And Shady wisely says, hey, this is a breadcrumb I gotta follow. I don't know if Shady knows that he needs to go up and get the bow. Did he get that hint?
Yeah, he did.
Stamen, didn't you already have desert access with flute, mirror, lift upgrade? You need both lift upgrades. You need the Titansmiths. We only had the power glove right now. So without both lift upgrades, we did not have desert access. Big key. All right. So Shadyforce, come on, show us something. Show us that this is the right path. Give us hope.
Spicy Meatball in chat. Couldn't boots be on PED and required for GT and not Desert Palace? Well, we just saw the big key and its vanilla location. So, without going to look at the desert logic, that might be possible. The map is on the torch.
Piece of heart in a chest requiring a specialist. So purple chest is likely not going to be gotten, at least by Shadyforce. I'm pretty sure Hitsuyan will get that hint as well. But that's a good time saver piece of information right there. All right, so Hitsuyan taking on Blind. I mean, it's another dungeon that he can go ahead and clear out that he had to come back to. So at this point, he's just hoping he didn't forget anything, and nothing's here, which is fine. Oh wait, Quake was here, right? The big thing holding us back right now is the second lift upgrade. And if Shady ends up finding it, I mean, even though he doesn't have as many dungeons cleared, he's in a good position over Hitsuyan. We'll see, though. Chat's starting to take bets. What's on Landmola? That's a good conversation piece. What, Jax? What do you think is going to be on Landmola? Is it going to be progression? Is it going to be something bad, good, whatever?
You all right there?
What was that?
That might have been on Hitsuyan's stream, because that wasn't either of us. Since we got distracted by that, I never really got the chance to answer your question. But we've got one Lambo to go, so...
Quick, guess. I'm going boots.
Shovel. How about
Mitts?
Titan's Mitts?
Okay, so Titan's Mitts. That was our big, bottleneck right now. I mean, that opens up Ice Palace. It opens up Misery Mire. Might open up Misery Mire. Opens up Dark Death Mountain, including possibly Turtle Rock. It's hard to overestimate. That's pretty significant there. Cooper Fox asks, where is the bow? It is in the basement of Tower of Hera. Now, we got a hint earlier telling us exactly where the bow was, and Shadyforce did end up getting it. I think he's just been avoiding going up there. Moth Revenge, here we are. We'll see how Hitsuyan does. Switching over to Hammer. There he goes.
Mothula Revenge has been completed, and just a compass for your troubles.
Yeah, so Hitsuyan, here's the interesting thing. Hitsuyan is absolutely running out of places, and chat's starting to point out, he's only got a handful of places left to go, and he hasn't done Catfish, and he hasn't done any of the other like Zora and pre-Zora locations with the flippers check. That's all in logic for him. It's only a matter of time before Hitsuyan hits those. So Shady's really got to take advantage of it, but he's also got to clear some of these dungeons too. So I will say Shady, after that really unfortunate check earlier, trying to figure out where the logic was with that take any room for the sword, really is positioned himself to be right back in this race. So kudos to Shady for playing catch up with such a rough seed. This is, let's face it, guys, this is a seed that we are all fortunate that we are not playing. Mothula's, sticking real tight with these spikes. Shady gets him down, though. Hitsuyan going to show us what's on Graveyard Ledge. Oh!
Tempered Sword on Graveyard Ledge.
That's nice. I mean, not what he was looking for, but it's still very nice.
Let's put it this way. When you're on hard mode and your choices are either Master Sword Ganon or Tempered Sword Ganon, you will take Tempered Sword Ganon every single time.
Every single time, yes. All right, Shady Force is climbing Death Mountain now. Looks like he's going to be setting up to do his Tower of Hera, and then he might go over to Dark Death Mountain now that he has access to it. It'd be a good, efficient check for him. Hitsuyan, in the meantime, looks like he's on his way over to Catfish. This will be our first Catfish check as well.
Okay, so chat's saying that we're kind of in a, not really sure if we're in go mode yet or not, because we're still waiting on Bombos. We do know that Hitsuyan at some point has got to go to Hobo to get that book, because with Titan's Mitts being in the back of Desert, that's the only way you can get into Desert.
Yep, at this point in time. So, question in chat, isn't there a sword in the library? There was. There's still going to be a total of 4 swords in the world. However, you can only get 3 of them. Once you get the 3rd and you're at Tempered Sword, the other sword that is out there in Logic magically becomes a rupee. So that sword became money and is just going to be sitting up there. That's gutsy. Hitsuyan just noped out and says, I do not want to pay. Oh, well, he doesn't have the money to pay for it, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, not really gutsy when you're kind of forced to not pay the $500 tax on Zora.
And here comes Hitsuyan. He's going to find the book, so he will be on the right path. So Shady Force is in a good spot, but I don't think he has enough time to really play catch up, because that's 3 dungeons that he's still behind. Although, let's see, he hasn't done Desert, so I mean it'll be about 2 dungeons total.
Alright, Hitsuyan was thinking about going... Well, okay, he was checking... Hitsuyan, you still need those Titan's Mitts. Can't get into Desert right now. Can't get into Maya right now, sorry.
Well, I think he was going to try to go into the back of Desert. It's like, oh, I'm going to go to Desert. Like, he got the book and says, oh, I can go to Desert. And then he forgot that his only access to Desert was that way. It's still funny. Now, we should note, Hitsuyan's going to have a considerably easier time in the dungeons that he's in because of that Tempered Sword. It makes Land Mullet so much easier. Shady Force not even checking the Ether tablet? Come on, Shady.
Instead, I imagine Shady... Well, I guess what he could do, what he might be doing, is he could route it in on the comeback after checking Turtle Rock, Hookshot Cave, Super Bunny Cave, and then probably mirror and go check Ether Tablet then. So there is a way you could route it.
Yep, there is. Okay, Shady Force going to show us. It is Quake. So, I'm going to go ahead and open that. Get this hint. I don't know if he's going to go ahead and clear it quite yet. He has the ability to do so, but might be a little nervous. Question in chat, did Hitsuyan check Senior Hot Sauce or not yet? If you mean Shamalama Ding Dong, he did, and it was just 50 rupees.
I've actually never heard Sahasrara be called Senior Hot Sauce.
I'm presuming that's what he means, because I can't think of anyone else who would be Senior Hot Sauce.
Alright, so chat saying is pedestal not dead yet. It's frankly on life support. The only real way that the pedestal could still be important is if Bombos is on there and we need Bombos to get into Meyer. I did look into the randomizer logic in the GitHub, and as long as it's not boots locked, there's no mention of the boots in the code. So it is possible that maybe the boots are there and the GT big key is on the torch. But again, like, we're talking like very like minuscule chances that the pedestal has one of those two things.
Oh, Hitsuyan's only at half the heart on Landmo. Oh, this is risky here.
Alright, Lambo down for Hitsuyan.
Yeah, Turtle Rock is Quake, and Misery Mire, we don't quite yet know what that is. So whatever the Misery Mire medallion is, we know that one can't be on the pedestal because it's the pendant. But at this,
right.
yeah, at this point in time, it's boots or bust, and boots. In order to be a required boot seed, it would have to be boots. Big key, Gaiden Tower, big key on the torch. So it is absolutely on life support, guys.
All right, but Hitsuyan is making his way to Meyer, so we are going to see what that Meyer medallion is shortly. And it's Quake.
It is also Quake, okay. And it feels like Shady Force is going at this, presuming go mode. Like, he has skipped a few different treasure chests at this point in time.
Well, as we've been talking about the only thing that can be on the pedestal being boots to lock GT big key. With that check, Hitsuyan1337 is officially in go mode at this point, pending boots.
Yeah, both Shady Force and Hitsuyan are both in go mode at this point in time. So it's, I mean, they're both going at this point in time. Shady has skipped a lot of treasure chests. He's playing this as if he's in go mode, taking that 4.5% chance that it's not boots on the pedestal or boots required.
Now, we do know from a hint that the Meyer big key is in one of the Fire Rod locked locations. Why do I keep saying Fire Rod? Fire Source locked locations.
Because, I mean, most people use the Fire Rod, although logically you can use the lamp, I suppose.
This is true.
The real trick will be, what does Hitsuyan do? Oh, he's gone. He's like, yeah, this is go mode for me too. I'm good. Yeah,
as Gambella is saying in chat, with that death to Mothula that he took earlier, he feels behind. I mean, now that we know at this point, both runners think they're in go mode and aren't worrying about the boots. I mean, we can say Hitsuyan actually has a lead right now because shadyforce still has to finish Pod and Eastern, where both of them are about to finish one of the Titan's Mid-Lock dungeons. So shadyforce has 2 additional dungeons he has to go mode that Hitsuyan has already finished.
So the question becomes, what's oh, there's a boots!
Oh, boots are on Trinex!
So that might be an equalizer here, because I was wondering to myself, okay, what's faster? Doing the Pod Eastern combo or having to do all of Turtle Rock? What's faster, doing the Pod Eastern combo with boots or doing Turtle Rock? That's going to be the last spot that Hitsuyan gets. So that means shadyforce is going to have the boots to do Eastern, Pod, Ice Palace, and Misery Mire. But then there's the Tempered Sword difference.
And Shady is going for... He's got to buy more keys. Now he knows that there are... One of the sword upgrades is at the library ledge. So if he wants to take the time, he can go to he can flute to 3 and go get that sword upgrade. That's not necessarily much out of the way.
No, and I think knowing how much time Tempered Sword saves you, I would absolutely do the same thing. I mean, he's fluting. Where are you going?
It's 6.
No, he's going to Mire. I'm honestly a little bit surprised that he's not going to go ahead and... Oh, he's going to check... Oh, come on! Shady, you gotta... I honestly think it would have been as much time to just go down, get the sword that we know where it's at. It's got to be the only thing he's looking for is the sword at this point.
It's the only thing it can be looking for.
Like, I would say going to the library would waste as much time as checking those 2 chests myself.
Especially because you know the library has that sword upgrade.
Chat pointing out, it is true. Rupee counts are looking dicey for both runners who are in go mode. shadyforce has 16 rupees. He doesn't... I mean, he has enough for, what, 1 wooden arrow?
Yeah. And now he's actually made it harder for himself because Master Sword Vitreous is going to be harder than Tempered Sword Vitreous.
Yep, absolutely. Meanwhile, Hitsuyan's going here through Ice Palace. Ice Palace is going to be kind of an interesting challenge. He will have to do it all without the boots, and boots are going to be really handy on the ice. But, man. It's going to be an incredibly close race, regardless of what happens. Shady's going to find his big key here and just go. So yeah, here's where you have to be heads up about your rupee situation. Even if you have silvers, you have to think that's going to be 200 rupees. Plus you need the rupees to get through Ganon's tower. You might hope to be able to gather those while in Ganon's tower, but it's not guaranteed. We got to think there is a really convenient arrow game that's just south of the village of Outcasts that is really easy to get quite a few rupees very quickly, but We haven't seen any of our runners end up going that route to farm rupees recently, so this is going to be a close race down to the wire, guys.
I mean, and even going back to the early game, you know, one of the few things you do early on that you eventually don't worry about is bush crabs. We know bush crabs drop $20.
Oh, shadyforce with a little bit of spooky action there, using the spooky glitch.
Well, he is using the boost, right? So it would make sense he would be doing some spooky action. Trying to do Master Sword spins, but taking a lot of damage.
Yeah, this is going to be a rough fight here.
Chugs that red potion. Meanwhile, Hitsuyan falls into Cold Stare, drains his magic meter with the Fire Rod, puts Cold Stare in a corner. Doesn't last very long, though.
Yeah, because nobody puts Cold Stare in a corner. Shadyforce just now realizing, oh wait, I have no monies.
Alright, Cold Stare down for Hitsuyan, Vitreous down for Shadyforce. So we're gonna see simultaneous crystal rises. Well, pendant for Meyer, but, well, you know, sync either way.
Yeah, it's... So Shadyforce, as they finish up, Hitsuyan has to do all of Turtle Rock. Shadyforce has to do all of Ice Palace, Eastern Palace, and Palace of Darkness with no money for the arrows that he's going to need to do. It's not looking good for Shady right now. We'll see where he flutes off to at the moment.
Hitsuyan actually gonna, I imagine, use the $200 he has left to go get... No, he's paying for the arrows. I mean, he knows that bug is there, so why are you paying 80 rupees for those arrows?
Maybe he felt bad? I don't know. Either way, he is on his way up Ganon's tower, up to do Turtle Rock. Man, this is going to be interesting. I do believe Hitsuyan's going to be the first one into Ganon's tower, but Shady isn't that far behind. I mean, this is still doable at this point in time. We've seen crazier things happen. Oh, and chat pointing out the glitch is, yeah, you can use your wooden arrows, but in order to be able to switch to the silvers, you have to have the wooden arrows first. So he's paying for his use to be able to use these silvers later.
Ah, okay.
And Shady coming to the realization right now, he needs some dough.
Yeah. Small little problem there.
Oh no.
That's bad.
So yeah, he's going to go over here to this rupee room and try to collect as many rupees as he can, which is smart. Meanwhile, Hitsuyan's working his way through here in Ganon's, or in Turtle Rock. I keep on wanting to give him credit, and he's already in Ganon's tower. Not so.
Nope. He will be in Ganon's Tower soon. And when we get there, there's a game that we do like to play that we're not starting yet. But in order to play in that game that we're not starting yet, you need to have either donated 250 bits or subscribe to one of our 6-speed gaming channels. Once Hitsuyan finishes off Trinex, then we'll be playing the game that we're not starting yet.
We are absolutely not starting yet. So, looks like... Oh no, Shady had to have gone back there, and I'm seeing chat that all those rupees are probably gone.
So what is he doing at this point?
I don't know what he's doing. You still don't have the rupees, Shady.
He's basically doing whatever he can to try to find money.
And this is retro mode, money management. This is why it is so important to be aware of how many rupees you have and how many rupees you're going to need to spend in these dungeons that do require arrows.
And the thing is, Hitsuyan's not out of the woods yet himself. Because with those silver arrows, you're going to need 200 rupees to finish off the big pig. Or do swordless. Or silverless, I should say.
There's 200 rupees to finish off, but also you take into consideration you have 10, 20, 30, 40 rupees that you also have to spend on Igors at a minimum. So, and that's including if you don't miss at all. So you got to think 240 rupees just in order to get through everything that you need to get through. Not to mention if you want to spend some more arrows on your way up for the gauntlet, which is a popular technique as well, you really have to budget for this a little bit. So, starting your ascent up Ganon's Tower, if you're good, look for, 240 to 300 rupees. I mean, 240 is an absolute minimum if you're planning on using silvers for Ganon.
And actually, Hitsuyan remembering that there's a rupee... Well, there is a rupee room in there. He decided to do the bomb and then left. Oh wait, aren't there enemies that you have to kill with the bow before that block will move?
Well, I don't know if you have to kill them with the bow or not, but there are enemies you do have to kill. Hitsuyan in trouble here, and he takes the death. Oh.
That's gonna set him back a bit.
This is why we say, guys, anything can happen in a randomizer. Do not count your chickens before they hatch. And he did not use the safety door, so he is all the way back at the beginning. I think that's the one time that Shadyforce is like, you know what? I'm happy with those 50 rupees. Yes, thank you. So Shadyforce is now working his way through here, Eastern Palace. Now, I mean, he was able to do Pod in the time that Hitsuyan did his first trek through and then died. So, I mean, And that's even with the unfortunate mess up that shadyforce had in not counting his rupees properly. So that's just a lot of time made up there by shadyforce. Again, anything can happen, guys. It's getting narrower.
He still has Ice Palace to do, so... And also Armos Knights are going to be harder to kill. Well, no, you've got Kane O'Brien. You could do lag strats.
Here's the deal about hard mode, though. Brian does not make you invincible. It makes you, it makes you invincible, but it won't deal damage. But he remembers this rupee room over here.
No, I think, Vitation, I think it's the other way around. I think it still does damage, but it doesn't do invincibility. It only does invincibility on the floors, or spike floors.
Let me check. I do want to get it absolutely right.
Well, either way, shadyforce will have enough cash. Say that, and, well, there we go. Alright.
Alright, so shadyforce is now on Armos. Hitsuyan is taking out Trinex.
So, yeah. Shadyforce using the Fire Rod instead of the Cane of Brian. But, alright. Hitsuyan has all of the dungeons done except Ganon's Tower. He's gonna pick up those boots. Alright, so that means there are 22 locations where the Ganon's Tower Big Key can be in the basement of Ganon's Tower. If you want to play in our guessing game, you need to guess a number between 1 and 22. Having subscribed or donated 250 bits, but you might want to be a little quick about it because we're almost Ganon's Tower, so Vitasia, what you guess?
I have a standard rule, always guess the same thing until I get it right, so I am sticking with lucky number 9 for now. Jex, what are you going to choose?
I'm going to choose 15.
15, hoping for something nice and deep. Okay.
Alright, so shadyforce is on his way to Ice Palace.
Yeah, Hitsuyan, meanwhile, has 200 rupees. Remember, 240 to get through. We're still waiting on the big key. So he's likely to pick up at least a handful of rupees on his way up, but, his margin of error is so minimal right now.
Alright, with that, guesses are closed. Alright, chest number 1. Red shield, number 2. $5.
And remember, oh no. Oh, Hitsuyan only has 1 key. And he just spent it.
Yeah. And, yeah, those 4 keys that are usually in Ganon's Tower, no guarantee that they're here. This could be potentially problematic.
This could be something, yes.
Bersonia giving us 250 bits the hard way in chat. Thank you very much for that bit donation. Well, there's 300 bucks there. So that was checks 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now, there will be a small key in this pot here. Hitsuyan does that and then mirrors out. And there will be a key in the bumper room Number 5, there's 300 more bucks. So the seed was making sure we have enough cash to kill Ganon.
Apparently. So all that hype that we just had, enough money, enough money, enough money, enough money, blah, blah, blah. Thanks, GT.
Now, there's still the key management problem, though. Because you need at least 2 key. You need at least 1 key. There's 1 key on a mini Helmasaur. So we need to make sure we at least have 1 key before we run the gauntlet.
It just depends on how deep he has to go here. So, I mean, it'll be interesting to see either way. And yeah, I'm absolutely grabbing that full magic pot, too.
Alright, so those were checks 8 through 11.
Spending a key on Firebar.
Number 12 gets it back.
That was lucky. 1 for 1 in this. I don't know if I do it, but I feel like you gotta.
There's going to be 1 here.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's okay now in terms of the keys. You know, he'll be able to get through most of everything. Meanwhile, Shadyforce is doing Master Sword on Cold Stare.
He does get Cold Stare down. 13 was just triple bombs.
And Shadyforce now going to be joining us. Yeah, he's the big difference right now. Tempered Sword has really made a huge difference for Hitsuyan. And he's in a nice little set here. Cape, shovel.
How about all the fetch quests in the randomizer room?
Makes sense.
So that's 14 through 17.
This is going pretty deep right now. Oh, and here's Shady coming over here to get his Tempered Sword now.
Alright, so he'll have that before making his way up. $18 piece of heart.
So we have 19, 20, and 21. Oh. Oh, yeah, I would not let him switch to the silvers. He was like, wait, I can't. Yeah, hard mode, man.
All right, another 180 buck tax on those Armos Knights.
Or more.
And next, or more if you miss.
That was a rough Armos fight. Hitsuyan is not happy with himself after that.
All right, 19 piece of heart, 20 bombos, 21 bombs.
Yes!
Tile room number 22.
Can you really expect anything else from this seed, though? I mean, really? So here's an interesting trick. If you're on the cape and you grab a wall and pull while you're using the cape, it will not drain your magic meter at all. So this is what Hitsuyan is doing. He's taking the lazy man's way out. Don't need to buck and jive and juke and do anything. He's just like, nah, I'm going to glitch it.
Alright, there's number 22 for Hitsuyan. And Chad also pointing out, -1 bottle. This was an all dungeons and all items seed, because we got everything you can possibly find.
Big shout out to Saryu, first supporter to officially guess 22. Man, that's a gutsy check. Not everyone can do that, but GG.
All right.
Let's see if shadyforce ends up doing it. If shadyforce actually gets it right here, this could be a game. But
or
no.
not.
Oh man, Hitsuyan gonna have to pull a bottle out.
Yep.
Remember, bottles only restore 7 hearts, so it's still a little bit rough. Gotta be careful here. Whew. So there's some of the money that shadyforce is going to get. We'll see if he ends up going full side here. Yep, he's going to mirror out. I will say, only in retro mode will we see people desperate to still be picking up rupees when you're in Ganon's Tower. All right, so here comes Hitsuyan on Landmo 2.
It's 2 down. There we go.
Every little bit of magic and health helps here in hard mode. Shadyforce with the blue boomerang tech. Always fun to watch that in that room.
So it never fails seeing how the execution of these runners do through GT and just having the knowledge of being able to combine all the weapons and then realizing I suck at this game.
Yeah, that's a thing that happens. And it's interesting because GT is designed to be, of course, the hardest dungeon in the game, but these runners have done GT so frequently with their entire weapon loadouts and everything that they have that it's like, it doesn't matter. I mean, they can almost do it on autopilot.
I mean, you see the bonk swag there from Hitsuyan getting across the gap.
Yep. Yeah, this was kind of an interesting race. It is absolutely a longer race that we don't always see. Hard mode also, you don't get fairies. You only get single hearts. So, note that. But the really the thing about this race that I think defined it is that because Titan Smiths was kind of our go mode item and it blocked off so much of the world that, I mean, we didn't finish all the dungeons until very late. Our first dungeon was right around an hour being completed by Hitsuyan, and then an hour later we have all dungeons done and we're climbing up Ganon's Tower.
All right, Geometry Wars time for Hitsuyan. gets nothing. Two rounds of nothing.
No, this is a good lineup, though.
Gets a double.
Oh no, he's starting to get out of sync, though.
Only a 3. That's 4. One more to go. That will do it. Agatu is down, and it is time for the big pig.
Mr. Blue Bacon himself. What pun are we going to have, or what fact are we going to have here? Gastropods or cheese?
My fiance likes cheese. Let's go with the cheese fact.
Meanwhile, here's shadyforce doing the same thing that Hitsuyan was. Outside the box thinking.
Outside the box thinking.
Meanwhile, shadyforce picks up his big key. Hitsuyan, I think, quickly already in phase 2. Ooh, damn Ganon hugs.
Hitsuyan only has 3.5 hearts left. Needs to be careful, but gets to phase 3. Pulls out the cape for good measure.
And now silvers do work since we're on Ganon, so it's worth noting.
Do we find the arrows in Tower of Hera? Yes! Let's put one in your face!
Oh no, did I?
Alright, that's 3. One more to go. That will do it.
Very clean final phase from Ganon there. Hitsuyan did it just about perfect. GG to Hitsuyan. Only one thing left to do. Cross this bridge.
Cross that bridge and call it a game with an official SRL time of 2 hours, 6 minutes, and 44 seconds. Spam those GGs in chat.
And we'll see if we can't get Hitsuyan in here for an interview before too long. shadyforce making his way up the gauntlet in the first ice room.
And we are joined by Hitsuyan1337. GG.
GG.
How you feeling, man?
Not really good. I'm so bad at this game, like you said. That was what I feel after the Mofular death and T-Rock death. Yeah, and I feel very behind the whole seed.
Yeah, honestly, though, you were pretty much ahead for most of the race because of that whole unfortunate problem of that the take any room with the sword was required to be able to do Aga 1. shadyforce wasted a lot of time trying to find that sword and never really had an opportunity to basically get him back to get himself back in the race a bit.
Yeah, that was the only thing I thinking about, that I had maybe the lead and don't give up and try to get my best after the wipes on Muff. And was hoping for that play, that he didn't get the sword.
Yeah, he spent quite a bit of time, unfortunately, running around looking for that. I mean, felt like a pretty linear seed, all things said. It was kind of, okay, we'll lead you to Palace of Darkness, where you found, the hammer, and which is supposed to lead you up to Tower of Hera, which led you to the bow, and Eastern and Pod you can then clear, and then, of course, the book, which kind of then opened things up because you got to Desert Palace, which led to the Mitts, and by then you were in go mode.
Yeah, Flippers was on Bowlocked side pot, I think, or? I sequence break that. And the water locations was one of my last spots to check. I had only Agina? No.
No, I think that was all that was left for you. We were thinking like, okay, you've got Catfish, you've got Zora, and I think at that point in time it was and Hobo. And then Hobo had the book, and it's like, well, the progression's got to be here. It was all kind of bottlenecked around that particular check. And Hobo's one of those things I was really surprised no one did that kind of early sequence break, because we did have that Moon Pearl before too long. Even Shadyforce didn't check that when he was looking around for stuff.
Yeah, Shadyforce did a sequence break and forgot to do Hobo. Which, now that I think about it, as Shadyforce has Agatu down, had Shadyforce done the book, or gotten the book from Hobo in the sequence break, that actually would have just put him behind further, because you would have gone to Desert, you wouldn't have been able to full clear it because of the gloves being so locked deep in the seed, one of them being on Lamellus. Like, you would have gone to Desert, found nothing. That would just put him behind further.
Yeah, both gloves was on bosses. I never see that. Argus had the first one, or?
Yeah, that was right. Argus did have the power glove, and then we saw both of you get Titan's Mitts off Lamellus.
Yeah, the seed was nice, I think, but the retro mode is shit. I don't like it.
Do you think that's why Shady ended up picking this one, because he knows you don't like retro mode?
I think he wanted to try it. I don't think he liked it too. Maybe we can ask him.
Oh, we'll ask him here directly. He's very close here.
Yeah, he picked it versus Gem tomorrow too, I think. Yeah, but I was happy about the book. The last spot was Zora, and it needs 500 rupees again, so...
Alright, well, Shadyforce has Ganon down. Just walks through the door and finishes with an official SRL time of 2 hours, 12 minutes, 11 seconds. GG's to Shadyforce.
Yeah, we'll get him in here. B-Torp was here. GG to Shadyforce. Man, yeah, this was just one of those seeds that was not friendly. I mean, it's 100% a full dungeon clear. We had just about everything that you could possibly get, I think, short of one bottle.
And joining us in chat is Shadyforce. GG. Shadyforce, you there?
Hello, can you guys hear me?
There you are. Yep.
We can hear you now. How you doing?
Yeah, that was something. That was interesting. Hitsu, I'm so sorry I put you through that. I had no idea. I didn't know it was going to be like that.
To be honest, I don't think we knew it was going to be like that either. This is the first time I've ever seen that the take any sword room was logically required.
Like, I knew it was a possibility, but I never play retros as like playing for it. I just assume that it's never going to happen. I can't actually believe it did happen here, and it took me way too long to realize that was what was happening as well.
Yeah, and then from there, I mean, it turned into quite the linear seed. We had 3 items of progression on bosses, with Argus and Lamellus having gloves and Trinex having boots.
Yeah, it's such an interesting seed with Mitz's Go mode as well. You're not used to not having gloves, so when you find gloves, you're suddenly thinking, "Oh, what does that open up?" And it's not a normal situation to be in. We're used to not having a hammer, we're used to not having cane, but finding gloves late, and then you have to think, "Oh, where could progression be now?"
I mean, on the plus side, you guys were effectively go-moding things as soon as you got it. I know there was a bit of a divergence where Shady, you ended up doing Turtle Rock first. Hitsuyan did some of the other places. You found the boots first, and we thought, hey, this might give you a chance to catch up because you were kind of like making incremental progress the whole way. I gotta ask though, what was going on with the sword at the library? Because I kind of thought you might be doing that before some of the other dungeons, but you waited until just before Ganon's Tower to do that. I'm curious.
No, I really like fighting Vitreous and Cold Stare with the Master Sword. It's one of my favorite things. Nah, I just totally forgot, dude. I was in the Cold Stare fight and I was like, oh my god, there's a Master Sword sitting waiting for me in the library. Why am I not holding it right now? That was one of my many mess ups in this seed. I did a lot of things wrong, and that was certainly one of them for sure.
Yeah, we were concerned about that. Obviously, you were making progress the entire time. It was really kind of impressive to see you try to play catch up, and we're making good time. But at the end, that Hitsuyan actually found a third sword. He never went back to library. Turtle Rock was his last one. He found the boots. He ended up finding a tempered sword also on Graveyard Ledge. So that was his third.
Oh, that's interesting. I was never even in the area. I never even considered it. It was never on my radar for places to go, which is quite funny. There was always dungeons I could clear where I was always going to.
Yeah, Hitsuyan, maybe you can talk a little bit about your routing, because that was kind of an out-of-the-way location. Were you just kind of still looking for progression at that point? Or, obviously happy to see that, but what prompted you to head that direction?
Yeah, I had Waterfall and Zora and Hobo open, and Graveyard and Catfish, so I wanted to clear it in one way, all locations. That's why I did Graveyard. Yeah, and Hobo and Zora was my last location for the book. But I skipped Zora. That was lucky.
Yeah, I actually did
500
Zora, but there was
rupees.
nothing there, so I ended up getting to reset and saving all my money, which was quite handy.
So both of you were kind of running, like you both went into Ganon's Tower feeling a little starved for rupees. Shady, I know you were even having problems earning the money to even get you to Helmasaur there for a while, so you were both a little starved. And then how nervous were you going in? And then Ganon's Tower is just like throwing money in your face, everything that's coming to mind is inappropriate, but money at your face frequently in Ganon's Tower.
Yeah, I guess we knew at that stage where all the money was stashed. I saw on the restream that we both went into Ganon's Tower with just a single key, which is clearly not enough unless we get a bit lucky and find some, which we did. But it was scary for sure. I was actually trying to farm some money from crabs, from the hoarders, but they're all gone after you beat Aghanim. I don't know where they're hiding. So I ended up just going to Ganon's Tower and gambling, hoping I would find what I needed there.
Wow, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, the hoarders were dropping 20, so I thought, for the rest of the seed, that's my go-to farm spot. But then it turned out to be no good. I'm sure they are somewhere. I just don't know where now.
Well, it's interesting because we actually brought that up, that was a possibility for rupee farming, but at that point, we totally missed that because we were kind of focused on Hitsuyan as he was making his way up the tower. That I'll be honest, I wasn't even looking at your stream and completely forgot that.
Yeah, well, you guys had a big key guessing game to do, so You
That's
gotta
true. That was the
also-
important part.
And you guys are like checking, discussing whether he has enough keys to even complete the tower, or whether he's end up going to leave. So it is a very interesting situation. You kind of only get in retro.
Especially Chad also wanting us to ask about the fact that Tile Room was the big key. So you guys basically, to that point, I mean, you basically had to spend all the resources you could trying to do all those checks, because nobody checks Tile Room unless they're like basically going on a Hail Mary.
Yeah, I was very lucky at the end that the firebar room had a small key.
Yeah, well, we both would have been in the same situation. We would both have had to leave, and then all the money in GT, we would have gotten to spend it somewhere and get some more keys and come back.
I will say, Shady, it looked like because Hitsuyan ended up getting his big key from the Tile Room right as you were like first entering Ganon's tower and going right over to the right. Did you consider stopping at Tile Room, or were you just, no, I gotta flee my game?
No, Tile Room's always a bad play. It's ridiculous thing to make, because Hitsuyan could also have had trouble finding the sword, or he could have had money troubles. Maybe he went into GT with 0 keys. So many things could happen, and me doing a Tile Room first could throw away the lead. It's just a massive anti-percentage play, and I don't really believe in those. I think it's the kind of play that deserves to lose. Really, you don't do Tile Room first. You play the normal game.
That's true.
Wrong feelings. I like it.
All right, well, any final thoughts from either Hitsuyan or shadyforce before we wrap up shop here?
I just want to thank you guys for commenting, and everyone behind the scenes restreaming and tracking. I really appreciate all the work you guys do for all these shows, and they're great fun. Really, I'll look forward to watching the restream back.
Yeah, same for me. Thank you, guys.
Thank you guys. Again, please be sure to give both Hitsuyan and shadyforce follows on Twitch. Put on quite the show for us today. It was certainly a blast to watch. If you're looking for more rando action, we have a few races that are getting restreamed tonight on the main Speed Gaming channel. Actually just got started a few minutes ago. We have Solsky and Layra doing an inverted swordless hard mode. So if you're in for masochism, you want to get over to the main Speed Gaming channel right now. Ninban and Jamie Sure are going to be here in about an hour on Speed Gaming 3. They're going to have all dungeons inverted Uncle Assured hard mode. Man, we're going for hard mode today.
Hard mode's where it's at, yeah.
Yeah. Pete Train and Pier 57 just doing all dungeons open mode basically on Speed Gaming 4 at 8:30 Eastern. 9:30 Eastern on the main Speed Gaming channel. We're going with all dungeons, inverted, randomized swords, hard mode between Kyong92 and John Rossums. And then late night rando, we got on the main Speed Gaming channel between Tadaru and Chex Human, where we got Randomizer. So all sorts of rando action going on in the Speed Gaming network of channels.
Absolutely. Let me pull up the greater Speed Gaming channel just to plug those other guys that are going on. You know, there's other things going on. There is nope. Pretty much just us. That's it.
Well, it was a nice try, Vitasia.
I you know what? I wanna be a good team player. There's other randomizers, there's other Speed Gaming events that are going on, but you know, sometimes Zelda's where it's at. So
that is true. Shout out to our tracker OSS Geek. Did a great job keeping track of all the items. And if you see, we got full tracker on our bottom screen, so he had a lot to keep track of in this seed. Vitasia, we haven't been able to commentate together since the spring tournament, so it was certainly a pleasure getting to share the commentary booth with you again.
Jax, it's always fun being able to share the mic with you, and look forward to working with you some more in this fall tournament. There's still lots of rando going on. We're going to be going at this for a few months, guys. It's awesome.
Yep. Absolutely. Thanks again to the Speed Gaming staff. Thanks again to all the volunteers behind the scenes that are making this tournament happen. Couldn't do it without all of the people behind the scenes making this all possible. Thank you, Hitsuyan. Thank you, Shadyforce, for Vitasia. I've been Jex Refi, and we'll see y'all next mission.